So we are online now, is that correct?
Yes.
That means that I should navigate to Twitch so that I can see the chat.
Yeah. And
Oh, Luna Keyboard, allow me to navigate to
I haven't had any. You know the issues I had the first stream when I had no internet.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had any of those issues since. I think it might just have been on their part. That the reason it was actually working was because they were setting things up or something, like working things out.
Right. Well, in any case, the issues should be over now, so that is lovely.
Actually, I just realized even if I can hear you, you won't. Actually, you will be able to hear me, but the stream won't if I am not using this mic. But it'll sound shit. I'm just gonna leave it.
You are right. I'm listening to the stream, and my voice is
too loud or bassy.
It's not too loud. No, it's just there is no treble. Admittedly, I don't speak with a lot of treble, but it feels like the bass is emphasized, like slightly distorted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, not distorted. Maybe I misunderstood.
I mean, like the gain was turned up.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm gonna see if you can actually manipulate that as a filter, but then it manipulates all audio. You know, in the future,
it's really not. It's really something that people are going to be able to survive. It's nothing.
Yeah,
terrible.
I know. But if we do this, I should say 2 years, because 1 year would be too early. If we keep doing this for 2 years and more, perhaps we should get some good equipment. And by good, I just mean better, not necessary. I mean, I already have this bad boy mic here. But like your mic.
Yeah, my mic is literally just an internal laptop microphone.
Yeah, and it sounds like pretty fine for one.
Yeah, for a laptop microphone, it's pretty okay.
Wait, if I change, I'm gonna. Hopefully, this doesn't. Through Discord, do I sound terrible through this mic?
No.
Okay, then I'm gonna temporarily switch to it.
But sometimes when you speak slightly louder.
Yeah, I know it peaks. So I'm gonna try to keep it down until I've done what I'm going to do. You can invite people if you'd like. I'm gonna see what things did I have to do. Right. I'm not gonna make tea just yet. Maybe because I just had coffee. So. So the video with Cosmic Sceptic and Rationality Rules. Well, actually, not specifically the video, but what they were talking about. The word ought and should. Like people try to boil it down to their essence, and like what does it really mean when you say this? And I have just, that's kind of the interpretation I got since like the first couple of times I heard it in my life, and I was young then, so I don't see why.
I watched that video too, and I do have to admit I wouldn't know any other way to interpret the word should.
Yeah.
Than to say that if you had my disposition, you would agree.
Well, I think that's what it means by your usage of it, but I don't think that's what a person means to convey when. Well, yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. No, I think.
If I say you should stab a child to death, then all I'm saying is that I believe I am right, and if you held the same beliefs, then you would think.
I think it's more like. I think it's more like you are actually making a claim and saying, well, if I am correct, you should do that. Then if the premises and the facts are according.
But then you're including the word should in the definition.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to explain.
Yeah, but you shouldn't use the word should to explain the definition of should. Try it again.
No, but we just said we. Not that that's funny
Oui,
by
oui, oui,
itself,
good,
but it was that
excellent.
I didn't formulate the sentence. I just went oui, 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 oui.
It's an explanation in French. Yeah, I can explain it. Yes. Let me explain.
Okay. Oui, oui, oui. So, yeah, get out the foul language. Oh, le baguette. Oui, oui.
Stop it. No.
No, we need to cleanse our souls, get rid of that, get it out, and now we can speak English.
It's not in my soul, okay? Don't make me think about that vile language. Okay.
Anyway, so the definition that like to if the this is what you want and to achieve that goal this is your
No, but that's not true. Like, a child may not want a good grade, but a parent may want their child to have a good grade, and then they are going to
okay
say, you should
okay
study harder.
for a certain goal to achieve it this is the way, right?
And
That's
then this is the best way, according to my disposition. But then, if you are using the word should, you also imply that the other person would be doing it if they agree. Like, if I say the best course of action is for you to steer left, that does not mean the same as when I say you should steer left. Because when I say the best course of action is, all I'm saying is that that is the best course of action, but I'm leaving it in the air whether or not you should go by the best course of action.
yeah, but that's not how I've interpreted the word growing up. I've interpreted it as like the best course of action based on these. This is the best course of action. I'm just saying how I've interpreted it previously and how
right.
I understand it to be, and it isn't that it isn't not similar. It isn't that different. So I don't understand how people need to be retaught this stuff. Not retaught, but you like be led. How they haven't come to. I don't understand how they haven't come to this definition by how it's used.
No! Something fell on the ground. Oh, why is my life so terrible?
At least you have a ground.
Oh yeah, the children in Africa float in a void. They have no ground to stand on. No social ground, no figurative ground, and definitely no physical ground. I found it again.
Do they live above a black hole?
It's the cool-looking pick I got with my guitar strings.
Every time we say pick, Minecraft has ruined that word for me. Because I just think pickaxe.
Should I say plectrum instead?
Yes.
But it's not actually an English word, though.
Yes.
Let me look it up. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, then I'll go with plectrum instead.
That's what it's called in Swedish.
And it's also what it's called in Dutch. Oh, us Germanic languages.
So lovely. And then you have actually, let me see what it's called.
Romanic.
No.
French.
Yeah. Oh no, it is actually called le plect. So I was gonna make fun of it for like, oh, us Germanic languages, it's called plectrum in all, and then in French it's like, cœur d'appousson or something.
Instrument de la guitare.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna switch the microphone again so that I have the proper one. I'll be back. I won't be able to hear you, and you might also cut out on the. Wait, could you say something? Just want to make sure.
Something.
Yeah, you are audible. Okay.
Fluid.
Anyway.
Voice.
You'll cut out probably.
Increase.
So be right back.
Fire. Death. Hopelessness. Damnation. Eternal burning. Pain. Consumption of the food of the soul. Satan's butthole. But admittedly, this sort of content doesn't really do well in the algorithm anyway. You know, last stream I made a big deal out of being left alone for hours on end when my comrade was making tea. But now, I'll keep the benefit of the doubt on the table and say that I believe that they are going to be back sooner rather than later.
Who? What?
You.
Oh, hello.
The last stream, you also said, "Oh, I'm going to go for a second," and I don't know what you did. You forgot to walk the dog. You fixed the entire economy of Vietnam. You traveled the world in 8 days.
I think that would be a pretty good excuse to leave. Like, oh, if I could just go out for like 10 minutes and fix the economy of any country, just any.
What if it were the economy of a country which only existed out of like radical Islamic extremists who were set on killing all Jews? Would you want to fix their economy?
No.
So
I'm not sure.
Why not? You'd be benefiting them.
Yeah, but that could also. But I mean, because they could have better economy, which could allow them to pay for more education, but they might just pay for religious education.
Well, think of Gaza, for example, right? They've been given a lot of money, which basically stimulates having a good economy, I suppose, because they have this money to go around to education to actually make the economy good. But what are they spending the money on? On what? How many rockets was it sent to Israel a couple of days ago? 800?
Oh.
All of that aid money is going to waste.
More like AIDS money.
So it's probably not strange to expect that if the economy gets fixed, then all of that money would be taxed away by the government, spent on rockets or whatever to annihilate the Jews. And then that would destroy the economy again, because an economy can't function if all of the money is being spent on rockets.
You know how so people think that like
Wait a second, Max. You seemed surprised when I mentioned the rockets from Gaza to Israel.
Yeah,
have you not heard about that?
No. When was that?
You have not? Seriously?
Did you say Gaza or Benghazi?
Gaza. Like the Gaza Strip?
Don't know what. I recognize that name.
It's, near the western side of Israel.
Gaza Strip. So I'm not very worldly, if you hadn't noticed.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you live in Sweden and you're also on the internet a lot. If the media,
I don't go through internet sites. I don't watch news. I just said internet sites. I mean news sites.
I'm going to do the whole ripping on the media thing here, but I would have expected them to push it in your face. Like,
well, they haven't.
Multiple Israelis died due to the attacks.
That's sad.
800 rockets.
That's sad. Do they endorse the raping of children? Oh, they do. No, that's not sad. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, that was just.
This plectrum really looks cool. It looks epic. I mean, I realize that it's literally just chips of plastic and resin. But the combination of plastic and resin is just.
What do you mean? Where's the resin? It just in the material?
So the big, imagine you have a bucket of resin that hasn't set yet. Then you fill it with a lot of reflective plastic, like bronze-colored plastic chips, pieces of foil.
Okay.
And you stamp that down really tightly, and then you plane it into planes and you cut out or you stamp out plectrum shapes. That's this.
Oh, so you mean that? Oh, so there's a texture of like particles of plastic.
Yeah, so it's flat because it's made out of resin, but on the inside you have like these particles of plastic which reflect the light in really cool ways. You know what I'll do? Actually, I'm gonna show it to you.
Yeah, you can do that.
It's not that cool, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I imagined, because I've seen a fair deal of plectrums walking into a store of musical instruments.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, that looks cool.
I know.
Don't do that face to me.
I am doing all the faces to you, okay?
I'm just imagining you doing it like.
I'm imagining a conversation like this taking place in an anime, and I realize that every female who was watching the anime at the time would be shipping us. Don't make that face at me. I'm making all the faces at you.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they're having one like fun moment. Definitely shipping them.
Yes, that's the way it goes
That's the
nowadays.
basis.
So I've told 2 people about the existence of this podcast. I shall reference more to it. Now, actually, before I do, maybe we should get it set up so that you can actually like show your software on screen.
Yes, I shall do that. Let's see. Adobe
I'm going to send Luminosity a link, even though she won't like it.
Okay.
I'm also going to send. So I took a walk of about 5 hours today, and half of that was with a friend. I'm going to send her.
Oh, have you seen? I've got the I don't know what was wrong, but I think. Oh no, I do know what's wrong. It was the passing of the byline. I'm talking about Enigma, the Enigma bot. The puzzle bot.
You're talking about what?
The puzzle bot for the server.
Ah, yes. Such a relative.
Apparently, the error was something with the passing, trying to find the line that starts with by, like where there was a swear. That was the problem. But anyway, I've got it fixed, and you can now use the arguments count, author, sorting method, though they're only random currently.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That is truly lovely.
So let's see.
Whomst else would like to?
I don't know. We're gonna duplicate this. Call it Adobe Illustrator. Might as well have different scenes for them. That's what they're for.
Maybe Cake of Destiny would like to watch this. No, like they are way too technically inclined.
Perhaps you should message the people, the Cholex and.
I have messaged Colex.
Oh, is it pronounced Colex? Okay.
I don't know what it's pronounced. Maybe it's Colex, maybe it's Cholex. If they happen to join the stream today, then we'll ask them.
Okay. Oh no, I need to change the name. It's not government. It's what's the name of this? Designing. You know what? We're gonna pick a name that is the way names are popular right now, which is like a sentence. It's like doing this and this, but this and this.
Ah, right, yeah.
Designing.
Designing SVGs, but none of the people involved are actually artistically inclined.
I'm artistically inclined.
I'm also artistically inclined.
So let's lie about it.
That would make it a clickbait title. You know, lying is good for views.
Yeah.
Also, I've realized now that the teapot actually looks.
And ironically, doing clickbaits is popular now.
Yes, it is popular, and it also works to get more views.
But is it still ironic if we do it purposefully for the? It's still clickbait.
How about we make the title "Designing Stuff Without the Girlfriends"? It's true. It's a description of what we are doing, and it's clickbait.
Stuff or things? Which word is more popular?
The more popular word would be designing radical images. Now, radical is controversial. We can't do radical.
Designing SVGs, but without...
You're radical, everyone does.
There we go.
No radical images, okay? We are designing...
What do you think of this title?
Okay, I don't know what I think of it.
This.
Designing SVGs, but without the girlfriends. Now, that is a good title.
Yeah. Update.
No, how about making literal images float through space?
Yes, making literal images float through space But
without the girlfriend.
Okay, just the same. Okay.
Or maybe something else.
Yeah, I think.
But our rocket motor is not existing. Maybe.
Our rocket what?
Our rocket motors are not existing. I don't know, something along the lines of rockets. But Elon Musk is not involved. Now, if we have the name of that guy, that is all there.
Okay,
all the
okay, but Elon Musk
is not involved.
Is not involved.
We have.
Wait, that would sort of insinuate that he has been involved at some point, or would be. Oh no!
Yeah, but that's not
Why
true.
won't it let me update? It won't let me update it. Is there like a? I think it might. Is there? I'm just gonna do it manually then, because you won't let it. It won't let me. It won't let me. Oh no, this is the wrong account. Whoopsies. I need to log out. Wait, do I have it added? Ah, okay. That one. Login. Of course it's access denied. I'm trying to access the wrong account.
Okay. Now, are you watching the stream? Yes or no? On your side?
No.
Then we have a viewer.
You sure that's not you or me?
Well, it says 2.
Yeah, and I'm here
and
as
you're
well.
not watching. Oh, you said yeah. Okay.
No,
well,
no, I said no, but
you
like,
said no.
I'm not watching it. I just have it open in the tab. So that's
that is like that registers as watching in the mind of the people.
Yeah. Right. Has the title updated? Let's see. Update the damn title. What are you doing? Is it updated?
Nobody's joining. We have scared away our only audience.
Why is it not updating?
We are alone in this world.
Wait, no, we've got a message from No Auto. Hello.
You remain with... Hey! That is nice. That would be what is it? Sansus, right? Yo. Chickadee chicka. Well, that is all the hip stuff. Today, as you may remember, we are going to be designing literal images that will float through space, but Elon Musk is not involved.
Sad times.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
we suddenly have 5 viewers. I don't know how that happened.
Cool.
You guys are really low. Kinda can't hear you.
Oof.
Well,
that
is
sorry.
criticism that we can use.
Wait, is it? It's using that mic.
Time to square the decibels.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
How about? Okay, so that's too high. Okay. So I think.
Is this better? No auto.
Okay. Cool. Are we?
The chat says there we go. That sounds good.
Yeah. Is the volume of the both of us like? Are they good, or is one too loud? Too much louder than the other. Okay.
I can hear you both. Well, that is solid. Okay, so now that we actually have someone to talk to, we can stop babbling on about how sad it is that Elon Musk has, technically speaking, not left us, but that he is not here. And we can move on to actually designing stuff.
Yes.
So, we got a suggestion.
I'm setting it up, so Adobe Illustrator, I need to add it to the streaming software.
So we got a suggestion previously from a viewer to make objects flow through space, or maybe it was a combined effort from us and that viewer. So crabs, I think, were on the menu there, and teapots that were glitching out because of our technical issues that we always seem to have. And in this stream, we are going to be designing those elements and also changing the code of this background, because it's a procedural program background, to have them float through space every once in a while. And also, I'm going to set my Discord status to Do Not Disturb.
So,
Brilliant.
Why isn't it showing the program? That's weird.
Now, Otto, was it you who suggested making crabs flow through space?
Why is it? What is going on?
Well, then that's the first thing that we are going to be designing, and it's also the easiest thing. Crab of the universe. What is it called? Crab of Transcendence? Universal God Crab. I mean, the crab is easy. Surreal crab. Ah, yes, we found it.
Sorry, I'm doing
the crustacean of creation. That must obviously... Okay. So, Max?
Great. It now has the little window, because for some reason... Why is that not a... I don't even see that. Is that the...
Max?
Why do these count as not the... Yeah, what is it?
I have found our first design already. We don't need to do any SVGing. It's...
What?
It's as simple as copying this image and using it. This one. The crab.
I'd like us to design it all, not use any...
Well, yeah, but like... You don't understand the meaning of the crab. Paste it in on screen first, then we'll talk about why this is so essential to the survival of the species.
Share... You wanna... Yeah, I'll share screen. There you go.
No, I'm watching the stream. It's okay. No need to share your screen.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted me to share screen. Okay, stop then.
No, I wanted you to share the crab on the screen of the stream.
Ah, I shall do. First, I wanna like how should everything be positioned? Stream chat. I want on top. I'm gonna put this. Or should
It's the most interesting content.
I mean, needs to be done at some point. I'm gonna put. Don't worry, it's all fine. I'm gonna put it there. That's okay. And then I need to center this again because it messed up. There we go. Okay. The crab. Yes. I'm just gonna copy the link and add an image. Crab. I'm just gonna give I want it from a URL. I'm just gonna
just copy the crab and paste it. That's when you can get to the real meat, the crustacean meat of the issue.
I'm just gonna do this and that. That's probably gonna do it. There we go. This is a crab. Oh right, I could just
Yes, you could just copy paste
into the program.
That is what I was suggesting the entire time.
I thought you meant like on the stream, sorry. So I was using the streaming software to like add it.
Put the crab
there we go.
in AI. In artificial intelligence, we are increasing its strength.
That's what we want the crab to be. We want it to be an intelligent species that travels throughout the world. Could you tell me what this crab means?
I'll tell you what the crab means if you make it slightly bigger. Okay, so this crab is called the crustacean of creation.
That's a lovely name.
Oh yes, it is. This crab is basically the only valid representation of God in the view of the internet.
Okay.
What I would like this crab to do in our stream is every once in a while I'd like it to come up from behind the moon, quite big, quickly
like
shaking.
Just like rise up like this?
Rise up from behind the moon while also shaking from left to right by about 0.5 centimeter very quickly. So like buzzing from the moon. And then I also want there to be rays of light emanating from this creature who just rose from behind the moon. And then I want it to fade away.
Okay.
Why is Elon Musk not involved? Well,
I don't know.
Okay.
He didn't pick up our calls we didn't make.
I don't think oh yeah, it's showing. Okay. Oh well, Max, I have some terrible news. Look at the chat on the stream. Just like white on white is not very legible. So okay, I'll tell you why Elon Musk is not involved.
How do I? Thank you for pointing that out, by the way.
We were basically thinking of creating a satirical clickbait title, which actually turned into not being so satirical anymore. Yeah, and we are making images float through our background this stream. And Elon Musk is not involved with us, but he is involved with space. So I suppose indirectly, Elon Musk is involved. We could change the title to that. Making literal images flow through space, but indirectly, technically speaking, Elon Musk is involved. Now that's going to get the clicks.
Yeah, that's awfully stupid, but I'll do it. Okay, I'm just gonna put that here. Put the stream chat there. Why is this bigger than... I'll just resize it. There we go. I mean, there's a black thing in the way now. Does that matter? I'll just resize it even smaller. Like so. That's fine, right?
So I think when it comes to the crab, this is probably all of the design that we need. Obviously we need the background to be transparent.
Yeah.
But like for the rest of it, this is probably, in terms of crabbiness, all that's required. So I'd like to then import this to the program that is our background and start laying the framework for making it come up behind the moon and also for other events. Or we could design something else first. Anthony, what would you like? Would you like us to make another image that's going to be floating through space in our future streams first, or would you like us to do the coding for the crab first? We are a democratic stream. We stick to principles. Unlike the British electorate, it's up to you guys. Damn it, we have to make a decision. Max.
What were the choices?
Do we start coding the crab now, or do we design another element first and then start coding?
Design another element. That's what I'd like to do. I'm trying to fix this thing. Do I do 50? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I want that to be 20%. There we go. That looks much nicer. Could you just write something in chat? I just want to see if
I'll write something in chat. We should get going. We should be designing.
Okay, you can. Okay,
if that is not writing anything in chat, then I don't know what writing in chat.
It's very tiny. I'm gonna have to resize it, make it bigger.
Yes, you are. It still doesn't look good.
Well, not all things look good. So
no, but it's still you still can't read it.
Yeah, I'll sort that out. The wrong thing.
This is probably the most interesting beginning of a stream we've had.
This is how things work here, okay? Also,
we are not in a hurry.
Could you write something
we are
again?
the Spanish.
Could you write
That's
something
why I
more?
have
Because it disappeared. Could you say something more, please?
Yes, I'll say something more. You lazy ass bandit.
Lovely.
It is time.
Okay, it works now. It looks
to obey the will of the people. Bow down and design. I'm starting to sound like Disney. Design. Whoosh. I will pay you only nothing.
I mean, if you really want it, we could keep the image as is, but I think we should vectorize it. Try to make it
like all of the images are going to be vector graphics. I think the absurdness and the joke of the event of the crab is going to be accentuated if it is hyper-realistic.
Right. Okay, yeah. I'll put this away then.
Yes, seems good.
Yeah. Okay, so what's our next graphic? We're gonna.
Well, let's think of continuous themes that we've had in our stream so far.
Weren't we gonna use the? I guess we don't need to necessarily No. We don't need to Actually, I didn't want to open that. Go to... No, I want to go to... Ignore this! I don't know if you can even see it, can you? No, it doesn't show. Good, okay.
So what we could do is we could make a teapot flow through there. But we could make the teapot look like it has technical issues. You know, glitching out, static everywhere.
Right.
Or we could just make the word autism flow through the sky.
Why?
Why not?
I mean, we could... So this is not something we need to design, because we already have it. But this is something we could also use, right? We want this to be floating through. A new object. So... Do we actually want normal rocks going through space? Asteroids, I mean.
I don't like. Maybe, but designing asteroids is not fun.
No.
So,
boring. It's simple.
Yes. So no asteroids now.
It's devoid of life.
It is devoid of life.
Except
it
for
smells like
the one we contaminated with.
But the asteroid, you know, it has organic compounds, so it has a smell. Volatile compounds.
It stinks. It literally stinks. Right, I was going to change the title. What were you... Making literal images about Elon Musk.
Is, technically speaking, distantly involved.
Is technically speaking, distantly involved.
I could make a render of the 3D model that I made spinning around. And we could maybe know that, like, the joke is just, oh, it looks realistic. That's not a good joke. Okay, so images. Yeah. What do we want to float through space? How about okay? Look, obviously we need tea. Tea must be floating through space. Tea bags, teapots, shards of teapots.
It's just gonna be, you know the thing that because of how we observe. How we can observe things in space, it is not possible for us to prove whether there is a teapot floating around the sun or not, right?
That is indeed not possible.
So you could claim that, and there would...
Actually, it is possible to prove that it's floating around the sun. It's just not possible to prove that it's not floating around the sun. It's possible to prove that a teapot is floating around the sun.
I mean, you could prove
because
that it isn't
if you launch
by
one
looking
to be
at
floating around the sun and you calculate the trajectory that it will take, then you can know that.
But I mean the existence of it being there. We can't really do that. So I just find it funny that it's like there can be like, so if we have one teapot floating around the sun, like you can't prove it's there or that it's not there. With our current measurements, because we can't do that, and we're just gonna shove 100 of teapots out into space. If you have enough of them, I think they'll be visible. Alternative teapot planets, but most of them will be crushed in the center.
You know what? I think that's what we should be designing. Okay,
a teapot planet. I know.
Yes, a teapot planet. I think that we should design a ball of just teapots that have been crushed together.
Yeah.
So you see. Spouts sticking out and handles, and you see lids everywhere, and that is a teapot planet.
Cool.
I think that is a good thing to design.
I like that idea.
And I know that the ether agrees with us.
The ether?
Yes.
Okay.
If I were Christian, I'd be saying Jesus, but I'm not Christian. So instead I'm referencing the ether.
Why does it take so long to update the title?
Because Twitch is slow, and our karma is low.
Oh.
That rhymed. Okay, on the topic of rhyme, it is time to pour myself a cup of tea. Now, not surprisingly, this tea...
Should I just use the model of the teapot we've made before? The brown one, perhaps?
Yes, the brown one. I think, if it's going to be a planet, it's going to be brown. But I also think we should consider exchanging the brown teapot that we have on the moon for the teapot in our logo.
I think No, I think this teapot is just something that stands around. The one we have is the one that is on the logo, which is also going to be, you're going to see it fly through in space.
Good idea.
Because this teapot here, that's just something calming, something to stay there, and it's not our logo. It's just some teapot.
Let's just get started. Let's first draw a circle. Planets seem circular, right? We're looking at them head on, and every direction is head on,
Oh,
so they seem circular.
This was how I was thinking, like, oh, this is how it could look. Nah, this look not.
Yeah, our current design is superior.
I'm just gonna copy this, bring it into this.
Yeah. Okay, so we could consider just, packing together a bunch of teapots and making them look like a planet. But we could also consider taking a teapot and just making it out of dirt and grass and clouds and such, so it's like a planet that is shaped like a teapot.
Oh, so it looks like it's a normal planet, but shaped like a teapot. Like...
Yeah, so it has the texture of Mars or Earth or Venus.
Oh,
but it has the shape of a teapot. That is something that would be easier to do, I suppose.
It could be more like an Earth-like planet. Or we could have some areas be, lifeless, and some have moss grown on
it. I like the idea of packing together a bunch of teapots into a ball mold.
Okay, so brown color then?
If any, then yes, brown.
Switch. Why can't this be by default on RGB?
I'm sure it can be. It's Adobe. I mean, they make great software.
I've gone through the settings. I can't find it.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory, of course.
But it's not open source, so it's not great. My opinion is clear on that.
Gonna pick a color. Don't want it to be too dark. I'm gonna start with this color. So that's just one teapot. We want a spherical structure in the middle. As such. Now, if this were a realistic planet,
yes,
these teapots would not be visible.
That's true, but it's not a realistic planet.
So,
the teapots should probably be about
this size?
That size. Slightly bigger, maybe. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
But would we just make them look flat? Wouldn't it be nicer to actually be able to see teapots on the inside as well, like from the top?
But most don't need to just fill in. Most will just be single colored. But then, the ones which is clearer.
I trust your sense of artistic direction here.
Okay. I'm gonna create a grid.
If my trust is misplaced, then my soul is about as dead as it was last stream when I burned my tongue on the tea.
Oh no. Okay, something like that. Okay, let's begin.
I did not burn my tongue, just felt like I did. I survived. Huh.
We've got 5
If I were a Christian, I would say Jesus is on my side, but I'm not a Christian.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think of how I can do this. I do like when it comes to the design that we have some asymmetry. So I think one big one could be here. And that this exact one will actually be in the same color, so it's more in the background. It's actually I'm
going to see if I can make a quick mock-up in Blender of the kind of thing I was thinking of, just to see if what your opinion on that is.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. So, okay, no, that actually looks weird the way I've squeezed it like that. That's not how
that looks pretty
rotation
good.
works. But you know what? It's fine. Feels like
is
the
it really
spout
fine,
is
though?
very big, but it does have a different angle on this one. Doesn't matter. Let's just make a lot of a lot of pots. A lot of pots. We're gonna place them about. Actually, we want a crushed one, so that will be.
That is an icosphere, if I've ever seen one.
I
Shift A. Let's add in teapot.
I want it to just be like. I don't know if I want round. It would make sense that they'd be round at some point.
Time to set up a particle system.
Like so.
You're doing two different things at the same time. That's probably not the best for like continuity in the content, but that's will survive.
Okay. There we go. Does this look good? As
what?
Like a cracked bit of it.
I mean, it does look cracked. That is undeniable.
I'll just place that. Does it have to be do everything? Because it's not realistic. So does it actually have to be oriented towards the center? Oh, I should probably mirror some.
I don't. It just whatever looks best is probably best.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Why can I not find the particle settings menu?
Yeah, I really don't like that I've squeezed this. I'm just gonna make a new one.
I should have gotten used to Blender 2.8 by now. Come on. Vertex groups, no. Materials, no. Brush, no. Finally found it. Hair. Render. Render
right,
as
and then we've got
object.
Spouts. Alone spouts.
Teapot.
I'll just actually just select these. Delete them. And I just want like a spout just poking out. Like a big spout. Actually, that size. I want to that color. Okay, alone, that looks just very strange. I'm gonna have a smaller one. Angle a bit differently. This is great commentary. This is how you reel in the view.
Yes, this is so interesting. I mean, I feel very involved in this, personally.
Also, we're also checking off another box, which is obligatory. Self-deprecation. It's like...
Well, we've been doing a lot of that so far.
Yeah, and it's only natural.
It's really worked.
Because because it comes from, if you don't do it, you just, to yourself and to others, it just seems like you're too...
I mean, it is kind of the crux of our content.
What? That we're terrible, or that we're deprecating on us?
Well, I think both. We are terrible at this.
I was gonna say deprecating on ourselves, and then I thought of defecating on ourselves. That it meant.
Yeah, I thought of the same, but then I decided to ignore the thought. You've raised so much attention to it now that I cannot get the image out of my mind. And
well, now you actually made an image for me in my head, because I didn't.
You were first. This is all your fault, as everything always is.
Okay. I guess so, maybe.
I mean, in the previous episode, I got literally depressed and I almost jumped out of the window. Do you know why? Because you left me. Okay?
Oh no.
But I will never forgive you.
Never.
Ever.
What do you think of...
You may think that I've forgiven you, but if you do, then you are wrong.
Okay. What do you think of this? Oh no, I need to show it.
I think it looks like an elephant.
What do you think of this? The whole thing. It looks like an elephant. With
Look, it has three legs on the side. A huge body. And then it has some sort of tumor growing on top of its head.
Oh, the cracked one.
I mean, if that is not an elephant, what is an elephant?
Yeah, that is what an elephant is.
Yeah, I can't help but not disagree. Okay. want to add some random rotation. How do I go about doing that? Force field.
So I could just bring the handle from here, but then it looks... So what do you think? Should the handle look like this when it comes to the shape, or the way I've cut it out to the right? I feel that if it is the
I feel that neither matters. I think like if you're looking at this planet floating through space, I think the distinction is not going to be made. Like you're watching this stream, you're bored to death, you have no life. Okay, that's our average viewer. That's us. Then you are looking at the background and you see this planet floating by. Do you? No offense to you. Like we are our average viewers. Most of the stream is probably us watching and no one else. However depressing that may be. So if I say that the average viewer is a failure in life, then all I'm saying is that I am, which is accurate.
Is that so? How so?
The question, okay, so no one's always willing to comment. We have two handles of a teapot. Okay, well, so the question doesn't exist anymore.
No. I'll show you. Here it is. Here are the two. It was just like this slight difference because I cut this out manually, but this was from the actual design, so...
And I said, it doesn't matter. Nobody will care.
Why is there a spike here? I must change this. No.
Once again, it doesn't matter and nobody will care. Why is there a spike here? Oh my god. People are going to be paying so much attention to that spike on the planet.
It's not about everyone else's opinion always.
It is. Well, no, that's true, but we are kind of making something that other people are going to be seeing,
There we go, I removed it. No! Now it looks weird. How do I... I don't know. No. What is this? Why does it do this? I don't know. It's fine. It's not fine. It is fine. Is it fine? I don't know. Okay, so I want to mirror this. So I'm gonna place one right. So I'll place one.
Now that is a planet of teapots if I've ever seen one.
Something you're doing or the one I'm doing?
I'm just going to send you a screenshot of what I've just kind of made.
Yeah, I won't show that.
It's far from perfect.
Okay, let's see.
You should show it on screen so that people can see what I'm thinking of.
Now just copy it into the program.
Yeah.
Could you make a let me paste this. Here we go. This. Could you perhaps render this? What's it called when you have no like round shading, but cell shading? Could you render this with cell shading, like one solid color, so we just like get sort of like
a silhouette?
A silhouette, yeah.
You want me to turn this into a silhouette?
Well, maybe we want different layers. So we have furthest back, which is just a silhouette, and then you have being more detail on the shadows,
But I don't know if a silhouette is actually necessary. I think if I would just render this using cell shading with like 5 colors.
Try that.
Yeah, but the problem is cell shading is kind of difficult to do. I see what I can do, but it's going to be quite a node setup.
Is it not? Could you not just set like?
No, you cannot just say, "Oh, let's do cell shading." Blender used to have a cell shading shader, but it doesn't exist anymore. So I have to do a lot of stuff manually.
Why did they remove it?
I think probably because no one used it. It was in the Blender renderer. The Blender renderer is gone. It's all cycles now. Okay, so
I don't know how the middle is gonna be here, because all of the pots I have to use have no other perspective than from the side.
I think people. I mean, if we are going to be doing I can't share my screen on stream, can I?
No.
That's annoying. We should figure out a way to make it work via Discord, where I share my screen, like you stream it to the stream. Well, that is poetic.
Well, share your screen then.
I know people might find it interesting to see me figuring out cell shading in Blender.
So would you like to see, should I try to set it up so that you can see both of what would, what the both of us are doing at the same time, or, well, pick one. Like, either what I'm doing, what Pixlr is doing, or what both of us
Show the
are
thing.
doing.
Show the screenshot that I sent you. On screen.
I did.
It's not. It doesn't.
No,
it's
I
not there
removed
anymore.
it because you were done. But okay, here we go.
Yes. Okay. So, to the audience, if any of it is watching, I am trying to make this look good. That is what I'm trying to do. This planet of teapots that you can see on screen right now looks like garbage. It's just white. Now, white people are not necessarily garbage, but white teapots, always garbage. They have to have shading. What I'm trying to do is to make this look appreciable. Is that more interesting than seeing my fellow streamer mess around with shattered teapots in Adobe Illustrator? Or is it not? That question was phrased way too complicatedly. There was no necessity for that. You know what? That is probably a good idea. Obviously, our IQ is way... What is it? Our IQ is dwarfed by Naota's brilliant ideas. A side-by-side.
What idea? Oh, I think you should try to...
You should be looking at the stream chat, man. That is like essential part of this.
Which is... What do you mean? That, like, better
No,
the results?
suggestion is to have...
The results
so
is
my
better,
process,
or just the process? Like...
The process side-by-side. And then, when we are both done, the audience can decide. Is the 2D thing or is the 3D thing superior? Or maybe, like, while we're going. You know, maybe the direction that one of them is going is superior, and then that gets full screen, and that's what we're doing then.
Okay, so not the quality of the work, but the interestingness.
And the quality of the work.
Oh. Then you're gonna lose.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll try to set it up. Could you share screen?
I could and I shall. But I should share my entire screen,
and I
right?
will.
Yes, okay. Bada beam, bada boom. Bada fleam, flada flew. Let me share my screen with you.
So I'm gonna do that. I am going to... Can I just do... Where's the icon?
As a boredom repellent, I'm going to be playing some guitar now.
Okay, sure.
When my thing is visible on the screen, by the way, do notify me. Because I'll get to the boring part of art immediately, which is all 3D art. It's all boring.
Okay. Let's see. I want to add a window.
Nay.
Why am I missing it? There
Nay.
it is.
Neat. Off.
Discord.
Kui. Nay.
You've got a sword.
Stop. Nay. Nay. There is a disturbing presence in the Force.
It's just black. Are you black?
I'm not black. No, I'm a Jew.
So you're both.
That doesn't... What? Why is it black? I don't know.
Okay, you know what? You shouldn't be so negative about black things, alright? Black people are also black things, okay? And you should be negative about them.
What?
You're like, okay, why is it black? Like, that's not okay, but okay. Black things are fine. You shouldn't be so negative about black stuff, okay? Like, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, no, Otto, obviously. I get it, because this is the way, like, the way is, man.
I don't know why is it not visible? It's like there, but it's like black. And it's like, Oh, you mean
Okay,
what?
stop being so negative about black stuff, okay? The inside of your, like, anus is also black stuff? Okay, that did not sound good, you don't taste. That did not sound good.
No.
When I said black stuff, I just meant that there is no light shining. Okay.
You should stop now.
Yeah, so inside of Uranus awareness. You know what? There is a day of everything nowadays. You have like Women's Day, and you have what is it? Dishwasher Day, the same day, and then you also have Toilet Day, International Fool's Day. The next thing is going to be Inside of Uranus Awareness Week.
I know.
Oh yes, that's going to be the project of our next stream. We're trying to get people involved with Day of Uranus. Day of Uranus. Oh yeah.
I can't do this with the. I don't know.
Uranus, Venus, Saturn. Be aware of all of them.
Let me try with this thing. Specific window. Discord. Capture. Nope. Doesn't work. Sorry. Well, I guess it's just
well, the thing is,
this then.
The process of crafting a cell shading material in like Eevee renderer is not interesting. So let's just stick to this, I suppose.
So what do you think of this so far?
I don't know what I you know what, I have to be honest with you. Even the screenshot of the object view of the planet that I proposed looks better in my opinion.
I agree. How about could you render it at a high resolution, and I could take that into Adobe Illustrator and do something with it?
It looks solid according to Naruto. So if this looks solid, then it's solid.
Well, I mean, planets are solid, not necessarily.
That's not true. No, there exist gas giants.
Yes.
For example, Uranus. We were just talking about it. Uranus awareness. You were clearly not aware of Uranus.
Uranus is solid.
I'm getting fired up about this. Don't.
No, Uranus is full of gas.
Oh my god. We are so childish. It's appreciable though.
So could you
know, at some point Uranus is going to get devoured by the sun.
It took me a bit to connect the dots, the phrasing.
Uranus is the biggest in the entire solar system. I think we've had enough of this. Let's take the teapot planets. Uranus.
Unless the sun devours it, eventually Uranus is going to implode and explode.
Oh my god. I don't think Uranus is like safe for all ages. We should probably stick to teapot planets.
Even since the young days, Uranus has been unsafe. A very deadly place. I think we should stop while the jokes are still good, sort of. And we're not... What's the word? No, pulling at straws. Or pull my finger. So... How about you send the render, please?
I'm still trying to figure out the cell shader.
No, just send it as is, like with normal shading, and you.
But didn't I send you a screenshot of the solid view?
That was very low resolution, very low quality.
Enough resolution.
No.
Enough with the resolution.
It isn't.
I'm resolute on this.
Could you do that and also raise the contrast?
No, I could not.
But could you?
But I'll try just. Sure, I'll try going about rendering.
We need a render.
So let me position the camera then. G. That is the hotkey for positioning stuff. Okay, so I made it point in the entirely wrong direction, which demonstrates my failure as a human once more. Now, if that is not a shot of the planet, then I don't know what it is. Admittedly, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life, so... No, I'm just going to cheat. Now, that is a planet. I should probably add a sun lamp, shouldn't I?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yes.
Sorry, there's not much to see right now.
Sun.
Waiting for this individual.
No need to wait for me. You can do stuff while you're waiting. Okay, so let's just hit F5, see what it looks like.
Sorry, I'm doing research for a joke.
On Uranus?
I mean, I'm sitting on it.
I don't think you should be the one researching Uranus.
Okay, this really is childish.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you're laughing about. Okay, that is not a good render. That is very ugly. That is probably the worst render I've ever seen of anything in the history of mankind.
Images of Uranus was first publicly released 1936. That's the entire joke.
I think we've had enough of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so allow me to send this image to you. It's not as low res, but it is garbage.
Well, if not garbage, then what? I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, I am going to copy that. I think that looks fine. Ooh,
he's getting in touch with his Uranus.
Why didn't you put black in the background?
Because I'm a foolish human.
I know what you could do with that if you want to continue to 3D model. You could try to make it one entity and then, like, if there is a convert so that any surface inside are erased, so it's just one continuous surface. If you can convert it, and then you can do a smoothing. So,
maybe I could make the teapot a meta ball. Oh, if that could... Oh, that would be wonderful.
Here we go. So...
That would just be lovely.
How many colors? 16? I think it... Yeah, it's a bit problematic that the background isn't black on what you've rendered, so... Well, you can see... It has the same one. Maybe if I can... Maybe if it doesn't connect, but it looks like it does connect to the edges. It doesn't! That's good. Also, there are a lot of vertices on this one. A lot of vectors! Oh, oof, this is taking some time. Oh, you can't even see it on the stream. There's a little window that's loading. Oh, no, it's no, it's about to crash. It's about to crash into the earth.
Okay, so in the Metaball case, it is physically impossible to make it look in a certain shape. But, you know what? Time to do some research. Not on Uranus this time.
I think enough research has been done.
Make a Metaball. Okay, shape a Metaball.
I think we
like
should,
a mesh.
I think we should stay out of Uranus. The original pronunciation, like if it's from Latin or Greek, it's Uranus, right? And some
Convert mesh to meta
childish
object
joke
blend.
to just pronounce it Uranus or no Uranus. There we go. Yeah, you're gonna have to put a black background because when I remove it, it cuts out things.
Alright, I'll make the background black. You know what, I feel like the background should be black by default.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I understand why it's not when you edit, but when you render it should be black. When
you render it should be, but it's not.
When you edit, I can understand that it's grey because it's in some way it's easier on the eyes, which is strange because black is darker, but probably just a color thing, this perception.
No, there you go. That is another image.
That is another image. You're right.
You know, we are both so right.
Mm-hmm.
Just, we are literally humans that have ideas that are correct.
And that align with the reality of the world.
Well, that is what I meant when I said that they are correct.
Yeah. No! No! Because now there are black areas on it where they are the darkest. I just want the background to be black, but the other colours to be as bright as they were before.
I think your depression is validated.
Okay. Are you gonna fix it?
No.
But we need it to be fixed. I can't erase the background properly if you don't.
Well, you know what, when life gives you lemons, just be sad about it and don't do anything about it. That's my advice.
Don't whine. When life gives you lemons, stop whining about it.
No, start whining about it. I mean, what else are you going to whine about? Pears? Apples? No way. That would be childish, man.
Life gives you lemonades. And I thought I was messing up the pronunciation. When life gives you lemons, you probably just found lemons. That's one by Bob Burnham.
Okay,
so he's getting in touch with this Uranus side. It kind of breaks down if you include the word side, I think.
Converting the surface to a mesh. No, I want my mesh to be converted to a metable.
This is so interesting. It's so interesting.
Okay,
because
so
I'm not doing anything yet. I'm gonna hide the program, and you'll just be able to see the calm blackness.
You know what I think? I think not doing anything is exactly what we should not be doing. So,
I agree.
I have a suggestion. Since we are failures when it comes to design, we should probably get to actually making it so that stuff can float around through space. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna switch over. So I'm gonna name.
Yeah. So switch over to the code, and I'll do coding as well.
Okay. I'm gonna call this. gonna switch over to that with the REPL. So I want to open up the REPL. I'll send you a link. Here you go.
Bada bing, bada boom. You know what? That is the mentality that we want. We want the bada bing, bada boom all day, every day. Bad out all the beams, you know, boom all the bams. That is just the advice of the century.
I think that's great advice.
So am I clear to start coding?
I don't know, are you? Why am I logged in? Yes, you are. Wait, what?
Thank you.
Why is it saying start set? Did I not update? It did. There's nothing. Did the session stop immediately? REPL. Join again, please, and do something so that it doesn't stop. Why does it do that so easily? It's like a few seconds. No, it... What? I don't understand.
Yeah, it does not seem to be working. The technical issues are at least very well represented even in this stream. We were planning to literally just make images and...
You joined the session and now it's stopped again.
That's annoying. It says the session owner has disconnected or stopped the session.
Now join that one. I'm just gonna type to keep it going.
Okay, I'm joining it. I have joined it.
And you are there. Now you can try to keep it alive.
I am keeping it so alive.
I don't think it's that we're inactive, because that would be very stupid if that were the case, that we don't... Oh yes, no, you're not writing every second, so therefore we're going to shut down the thing.
Sounds like the sort of thing a government would do. Nice reference to our other streams.
Because I'm logged in.
And it's zinken to our other streams about government. Okay. So I know what we are going to do to make this work.
How is that?
It is quite... Oh, it stopped again. The thing is... It's not working. I was just about to describe my plan to make our great floating crab friends do their thing. And then, you know, REPL just stabbed me in my anus. I mean, your anus. Okay. So, in main... Is the thing following me or is it following you? It's following neither of us. That's depressing.
I'm setting things up. Right, yeah, I'm gonna spectate you then.
Random event functions is going to equal an array of random event functions. So that's going to be...
I made it to spectate you. Wait, which file are you in right now?
I am in main.js.
It says it's spectating you.
Oh, lovely.
But it isn't.
That's depressing.
Do I still need to move it to the same file?
function floaty t float t flat. So first, determine the chance that the event will take place.
Your
Then,
what you've written is a bit messed up.
Chat is matched. What? How is it messed up?
I'll take a screenshot.
Oh my god, why is everything so painful?
Rappel's got some shit to sort out.
Oh yeah, it looks like very garbage stuff. That's right. I'll reload the page then.
Indeed.
Function main.js. Oh, it still looks correct to me,
Okay.
even after reloading.
And I've clicked spectate. Could you write something now?
Sure. If chance is matched, then make the event happen. How are we going to do that? Well, the crab code is going to require
I'm just gonna
spawning a
leave it
crab.
like this. It's gonna. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
So crab equals document.create element. What element are we going to be creating? Well, an image. Image. And then it's going to be crab.src.
There we go. Okay. I don't know if it's following. If it isn't following,
crab.src.
pixels,
Could you
wait.
add the crab to our images folder?
Mhm.
That's lovely.
If it isn't following, and like we're talking about something that we're writing, and it isn't showing, tell us.
Crab.png. Alright, so I've created an element and I've called it crab, and now I have made sure that it displays the actual crab.
Add a folder, call this.
I want the crab to slowly float up from behind the moon. So what we should be looking at is what is the z-index of the moon. Position absolute with height. Okay, sky, star, moon, z-index 2. So we should be setting the z-index of our crab to be behind the moon, so it has to have a z-index of 1. Now that is easy to do. Main.js crab.z-index is equal to 1. Lovely. And then also
Wait, what should I call the folder of with the default things? The things like the things we
I don't know
already
what you're
have,
talking
the
about.
non-flying one.
Just call it images.
Yeah, I have, and in
Put
there.
all of the images in the same images folder.
Why?
Because they're all images.
But it'd be so messy. I'm putting them in
Not
the same.
going.
Putting them in the same images folder. I'm just putting in folders in that folder.
You know what?
Gonna make
Whatever. Pick a full name. If you care, then I'm not going to dissuade you from displaying your OCD to the world. Look at me being an ass.
Just categorizing things. It's fine.
Okay. So we have a crab. It's behind the moon. Lovely.
Flying. That's the name.
Crab.position is going to equal absolute. That is an absolute position. Crab.x. Crab.top is going to be equal to 100%. That's not possible. That's not legit. That's not okay. Do we have the dimensions of the thing anywhere?
No, I don't want to create a file now.
No, we do
I
not.
want to upload one. Right, let's just click and drag. Okay. So,
Well then,
where's the crab?
crab.bottom is going to be equal to 0. crab dot left is going to be equal to, well, let's just pick something 100. Lovely. Actually, they should be integers. Okay. Then we must make the crab move upwards. Is there a function that gets updated every frame? JavaScript event called every frame. Oh yeah, obviously we've already used this. It's called what's it called? Damn it, why are we so foolish? We've used this. We have already used this in the code itself. Drawing start.
I don't understand.
Update. Update is called every so often. Set interval. That's it. Okay. So we are going to use that. I could look at the stream. I'm looking at the stream.
Looks messed up. Why does this window?
Not only does the text look messed up, it doesn't appear to be showing. Oh yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know why the text looks so messed up.
This upsets me when you set things up to work like they work step by step. They're supposed to work, but the reason they don't work is because how they have decided to implement how it does things. And perhaps, you know, the way it gets desynchronized, like when text ends up this way, that's because the site isn't perhaps perceiving a certain if it shows wrong for me, it might be that it hasn't perceived your changes yet, and not even just yet, but that it just hasn't and won't. And the reason it's happening here might be because OBS is the way it's doing the browser window. It's not doing it like a normal browser window for some reason. So it's missing things. I don't know if that's the case, but it could be. Ow, my eyes. My eyes.
Me is that's it.
Okay, let me see.
Okay. That is going to be happening. So let's just call crab code once at the beginning of this thing, to see how life is
Here's
going.
The crab. It's called cosmic crab.png under flying.
So random event functions, and then the first item we are going to be calling that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna update this.
Time to run the thing and see what it looks like.
That's fine.
We have an error. Unexpected token. Obviously we have an unexpected token. Oh, that's what. Run. Oh yeah. Run.
Oh.
Run it again.
Oof.
Still an unexpected token.
What?
Where is?
Oh, what is going on?
I don't know what's going on.
Look at the stream.
Oh, that is not pleasant.
Why does this so-called plugin crash?
I would know as
Cannot
well as you
read
would.
property of is owner of undefined. Okay. Rappel has had some real problems the last few months.
Yeah. It's still a pretty good thing, but it's not. Okay, so this is weird. When I try to run the thing that I just coded, right? It says that there is an uncalled syntax error, an unexpected token. Now that is totally fine. That happens. Unexpected tokens are everywhere. But it says that it's on line 212. Now, how many lines
do we?
We do not have that many lines.
Oh no, we do. We do.
We have only 193 lines.
No. Wait, let me check so it hasn't like duplicated things. Like it does sometimes, because it's been a real dingus.
You know.
It has. It has duplicated everything.
Seriously?
Rapple? More like Rapel.
More like a rifle.
Let me read. Oh, okay, the session has stopped, apparently.
Oh yeah, it has duplicated everything. That is
Commit
just...
my suicide, please.
I'll commit all of your suicides.
This damn website. It's so good, but
Some people
so
get depressed
bad.
because, you know, their parents abused them. Other people get depressed because they have terrible genes. Other people get depressed because they have serious issues in life. You know why people like you and I get depressed?
Because Rapple won't do the damn shit.
Because of Uranus. Okay, no, just kidding. Yes, you're right. Because Revel won't do the damn shit.
Right.
Just
Also,
like Uranus.
also, I was gonna say, yeah. Sometimes the genes, they're just too tight. Sometimes they're too loose. Sometimes you're too thick.
I'm never too thick. I'm a thin boy.
Are you optimal thick? Are you gonna join the new link?
Oh, I am going to join the new link.
Okay. Let's see here. Is everything...
You can sell the game. Is looking phenomenal.
Okay.
This tea is sponsored by my pretentious spiritual mum who believes that everything can be traced back to some sort of like spirit man that's like breathed like life into my children, man. And that's and that's why I just burned my throat. Oh my god.
Maybe you just shouldn't speak ill.
The provider of this fine tea has retaliated by channeling the spirits to burn my throat. What sound am I hearing?
Well, you're pouring tea, so I'm like, this is a brush, hairbrush.
Oh, this is an ASMR show now.
Yeah, this is an ASMR. Hello. Anyway.
Okay, so let's run it. Let's see if it raises any errors. Yes. Unexpected token. What line? Unexpected token on line
How is it supposed
212. But it has tripled everything now.
Spectator, stop. It says it's spectating, so why isn't it spectating?
Huh.
Maybe it is.
So you said everything was doubled, but that's not true. It's actually tripled everything.
Oh, maybe that's now that I joined it again. It added it up.
Oh, actually, it's quadrupled everything.
Well, no, times 4 doesn't mean quadruple. Yeah.
It has actually quadrupled everything.
Really?
Yes. Okay. Well, now I've erased that. Let's see if it raises any errors.
So that's
yes.
double.
No, it quadrupled everything.
Then quadruple would
now
mean...
it says that there is an error on line 321.
That would be 64 times if it's quadrupled, by the way.
No, quadrupled is when you multiply something by 4.
No, it's the power of 4.
No.
You square something, you cube something, and you quadruple something.
No, you double something, you triple something, and you quadruple something.
No?
Yes.
Yeah, verb. Increase or be increased fourfold.
4 times. Am I right? Yes, I'm right.
Wait.
Ha, you got wrecked. My semantics far outweigh your foolish Swedish things. You know why? This is because you've been learning French, okay? If I believed in Jesus, I would be saying that he's getting back to you for that sin. How many lines do we have now?
So I'm gonna look up to the 4th power.
Oh my god.
I'm looking it up. I'm not gonna...
We have 477 lines now. The actual code is only
slightly... we've actually done a lot more progress than we have on our previous streams.
Clearly it's not an objective measure of progress.
No.
Oh wow, we are getting all of the errors now.
Here are the names when it's to powers, apparently. I think. If this person is telling the truth. So to the second power squared, to third power cubed. So to the fourth power is apparently quartic. Quintic is fifth, sextic, heptic, octic, and so on.
Well, actually, I think it should be different. I mean, look at the pattern. To the second power is squared. To the third power is cubed.
So
to the fourth power is hypercubed.
Yeah, I thought of that. Yeah, but the thing is, it's easy. The thing is, a hypercube isn't necessarily 4-dimensional. It can be 5-dimensional as well. You call it a 5-dimensional hypercube, so.
I have written code. I want to test it. I cannot because of some foolish garbage.
I think we should locate the ending so that we can erase everything that has been.
We have 477 lines.
Well, I found it. You just look where the beginning comes again. So it's initiate variables and everything.
We should have only 110 lines.
Well, we have 110 lines now because I erased everything there.
Okay, well, let's run it. I'm running it. And it says... Okay, well, this is a different error, so that's good.
Oh, it says RepLBox. I read that as Roblox.
Roblox?
Roblox.repl.it.
Why is everything terrible?
What's wrong?
I don't know.
Random elements is not
okay.
defined.
So that's a good error. We can have that error. Why is random elements not defined? Oh, it's random event functions. Okay. 109.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing here. What is this random thing?
Yeah.
So, you're doing a list.
A list of functions that's going to trigger things floating.
Wait, can you define functions like that with like subnames?
Yes, you can. You can.
The way I've done this in programming languages is, I mean, is this possible in, for example, is it possible in Java to do it this way?
I don't know. I don't like Java.
Okay, C#?
Yes.
It's possible there?
So.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Python, no.
No, but you can use lambda functions in Python, but you can't name them.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, this is quite nice because the way I've done it in languages is if I want a collection to say something dot and then a function, I've just made a static class.
A class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the way you usually do it.
Okay.
In every language. Okay, so let's look at this.
I like this way.
I don't like what I'm seeing. So I just loaded the thing, right? But it is not displaying what I wanted to display.
I'm gonna have a look as well.
And there is also not an error.
Unfortunately, I can't show what's happening live.
Oh, why have you done this? Why are you so foolish? You divided it all up.
Huh?
So it's called standard element. So now we have to go images /
I said I did. It's not called standard element. It's called base.
It's called... No, but standard elements is the stars and the moon and such.
No, it's called base. The folder's called base.
Well, then what am I seeing here?
Also, I did say that, and I updated it in every other place where it was used at the current moment.
Crab.src is still images / crab.
No, it's images / flying / crab.
Yeah, but look at line 24. Look at line 24. Just look at line 24.
Yeah, I see. But I'm saying...
What is happening?
Cosmic crab.
And why is the capitalization inconsistent? Oh my god, this is so whack.
What do you mean? Oh, right. Yeah, we should probably call the cosmic crab with capital C and capital C.
It also says, like, one of the errors that I'm getting is that I cannot find base / vapor2.png because it's in standard elements, not in base.
But it is in base.
Well, not according to the errors. The errors say that, oh, it's not in base, we can't find it. 404.
So we go to the...
Look at this.
Why are there 2 folders now? What's happening?
Why? Why do we have to live like this?
I hope the sun devours Uranus.
I don't.
It will be quite the sight to see.
You know what?
The
After
session
this stream is done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to clip every terrible Uranus joke. Oh, look, the multiplayer session ended.
Yeah, I said. Do you actually want me to cut them out?
We just now gained a couple of viewers right when we are dealing with garbage.
Would you
Sounds
actually
good to me.
Would you actually like me to cut the jokes out?
No, I would not. I like the jokes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't like the jokes, but they are lovely.
Well, I've opened up the session again.
Like the thing is, everyone enjoys some good jokes about Uranus once in a while. Even if they don't want to admit it.
It feels good, you know, to let the air out. Why? Pain.
You know, I'll tell you something fun. Uranus is so big that if it ever collapses, it'll turn into a small star.
I think
it
already is a star.
Yeah, my anus is a star. I mean Uranus. So Lenny Plop, nice to see that you're here. Lenny Plop is an old friend of mine who I invited. Didn't know you guys had a podcast. Well, this is the reveal.
If you call this a podcast.
I mean, this is a podcast. It's a visual podcast.
I'm gonna look at what's a podcast. It's where you talk.
So, I'll explain kind of to you what we've been doing so far. So, the first part of this stream was designing. We were making images that we could make float through the sky. That's that explains the title. And then because we are uninspired and boring, our images turned out to be garbage. Except for mine, obviously. I'm a perfect human being. My image was great, but there is no way for me to share my screen, so I can't show the process of creating it. And that's why we switched to coding.
We're having a big issue here.
Are we?
Well, at least on my end. So it's not giving any errors, but it's just showing that the image icon where it's like, oh, here's an image, but it's not loading the images.
I can't access. No, wait a second, I can. So the past,
the present and the future, the faith and hope and charity.
So the past about 20 minutes, we've been trying to get the coding to work, but the universe is not on our side.
Perhaps the coding shouldn't we shouldn't get the coding to work. We should get to work.
Yes, maybe Buddha or whatever is preventing us from doing the coding. Our destiny is not to code. Our destiny is to design.
Perhaps this will reveal some answers about the universe that they do not want us to know. So, are you in then?
Am I in?
Why
isn't it? Uranus, that's for sure.
Why isn't it doing it?
Did you know it's going to be Mother's Day tomorrow? My gift is a short film made by me and my siblings. Now, that is charming. My gift is probably nothing. I am going to be playing chess tomorrow, and I hope not to see my mum.
I mean, not that you shouldn't be thankful for people, but when it comes
I don't know how true that is. Technically, I thank my mother every day for the good things that she does. I don't feel like there should be this special day for it, especially because there is also Father's Day and nobody ever pays any attention to Father's Day. It's like, yeah, but you should be thanking your mom, and all of these events, like tickets to the sauna and spa that are off. Then you have Father's Day and nothing happens. It's just a couple of feminists on Tumblr saying, well, men are bad. Don't thank your dad. Thank your mom for surviving him. Okay. So, if that is the way Father's Day is done, I don't know if I should care about Mother's Day. And also, my mother hasn't been particularly sociable lately. I don't know. Should I be making gift? Should I not?
I know. I know. I know. I have an
Ja,
idea.
mag eens maar dan.
Oh, someone's talking to me.
Maybe I should be making gift. Like, what could I be? What could my gift be? A swift punch to the face? A hug.
No. What?
I haven't hugged my mother in a long time. I also haven't swiftly punched her in the face ever, so that would also be a surprise.
Why is it not working?
Admittedly, I'm not going to punch my mother in the face. I also don't think I'm going to hug her.
Oh, maybe that's why. Because I forgot to add the word base to one of them. Is that the only thing that isn't showing? No, it isn't. So why?
You know why? Because God hates us. That's why.
That's always.
Give her a pot of nuts. She loved that. Yeah, my mother was a huge fan of nuts. And Uranus. Why are we doing this? This stream was so cultured and intellectual. Not just this one, but the previous ones.
Comedy can be intellectual, but this comedy isn't.
But this comedy is not intellectual. Like, the comedy in our previous streams was intellectual because it was basically just saying that we are terrible human beings.
Yeah, like the comedy is not intellectual here because you're literally making your mom the butt of the joke.
Okay. That one was good.
Okay, so
that was creative.
It's showing some more things. It's at least showing the sky. I don't know, because it's like inconsistent in which files are actually there and which it's showing. You know, because there were issues with the folders being wrong before.
I don't know.
Like,
I
don't know.
Like, so the first thing is, should I be doing anything for Mother's Day this year? The answer is probably not. But if the answer is yes, I should be, then the question is, what should I be doing? Please stop. Your little art thing looks pretty good so far. Yeah, thanks. We've made this previously. So like the animation of the stars and of the vapor and such. It's all procedural. It doesn't loop, it's code, randomly generated. And we also want to make things fly through space every once in a while. You know, UFOs, crabs, Asian child slaves, that sort of thing.
Space heads.
Space cows. Desmond the Moon Bear. Uranus, also flying through space. So that's the thing that we're working on, but we are failing, and that's not because of our own wrongdoing. It's because of the failures of modern technology.
So which folders do you see currently?
The folders that I see are standard elements, base, and flying.
Wait, have you not updated the page?
I have. I'm on the latest REPL. I just clicked the link.
Well, that's stupid. Because I updated the page and it's still showing the same. Okay, I'm gonna restart the session. I'm gonna properly update.
We are doing so much restarting.
Yes.
Yes, humanity is at fault. Never blame yourself. You know, don't blame the players. Always blame the game.
Or at least the game platform where it's hosted.
Yes. All the microtransactions.
Yeah, all the REPL microtransactions that are definitely there.
No, REPL is a great service. I mean, like, it's a bit whack every now and then.
It's only the last months where it's been...
It's free, though. I mean, they have a paid program, but it's mostly free.
What did
you say?
They do?
The paid programs offer private REPLs and things for student-teacher interaction, that sort of thing.
Also, now it loaded up the things properly, so that's good. And now, transferring everything.
You know what? I feel like this has all died. We were going, you know, we were racing down the highway, making progress, doing progress, being the progress. Okay, and now it's all stalled.
Fine, join.
Really?
Join the dark side.
I'm joining the dark side.
Of Uranus.
Yeah, I look, standard elements is still in there.
I just deleted it, so it shouldn't be. It's loading properly now! Yay! Okay, now I'm gonna update it on the stream.
Delete standard elements. I just deleted standard elements.
Okay, sure. Plugin crashed again. I mean, this is great service. Every time I click anything.
Lenny, I appreciate that you'll be back. Any viewership that we can get our hands on with this
It's greatly
terrible...
appreciated.
Yes, greatly appreciated. Okay, let's run it. I'd love to see if it finally does what it's supposed to do. Oh.
We are editing from the same as it's running on the stream. So if I were to accidentally hide and show the thing, it would reload it to.
Well, at least it does something. That's good. Let's run it again.
Why is it? I don't know what's happening. Do that. Interact. Do that. Do this. Dark. Okay. Guess we're not gonna do dark then. Large. No. Okay.
Putting it to the body is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. There are issues. I cannot resolve the issues. This is a problem.
Everything's a problem.
Everything's a
Document.
problem. Everything's
Body.
a problem if you use At least it's showing where you're typing. What you're typing. I'm just gonna have it scroll there. At a particular
it's still not working now. That's not good. But, you know... Oh, we're halfway
Also,
there.
sorry, we forgot about it yesterday, the stream, so that's why. No, wait, it is Saturday today.
We did not forget about it yesterday.
Why
are you such an uncoordinated fool, you buffoon?
But I think it's Sunday.
It's not Sunday. If it was Sunday, then I would be very sad.
Are you saying that's a correlation or causation?
No, I'm
It's
just
Sunday
saying
because
it's
you're
causation.
sad. That's what sun stands for. It says sad day.
Sun stands for sad. No, the sun doesn't make me sad. The sun makes me happy. Today the sun was up and I walked for about 5 hours. I just took a long walk.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. I can't bother to fix. I mean, it's too disruptive.
Okay.
Hopefully it works.
var body equals document.get element.
Be right back. I have people singing in the background.
Body 0. If we look, is it following me though? Max? Max? Hello? No. Oh my god. Everything in life is deserving of hate. Especially what is happening to me right now. A pen child of null. Yeah, that makes sense. It's going to be body.appendChild. Run. Come on. Like, please, just work for once. Please. No. No. am going to be depressed soon. $48, $28, line 28. Crowd opposition is equal to absolute. No, this can't be true. Okay, so what is happening now is I'm looking at the code and I'm seeing what I'm seeing. But it looks like what I'm seeing is not the reality of life. Oh no. Okay, this should be good. Var body equals document dot get elements by tag name. What name? What body? We are going to be appending to the body. First element there.
I returned.
Let's try that. And it's not working, obviously.
Could you actually hear the people laughing in the background?
No, I could not.
Okay. They sound like they're just wasted. Try and go
You know what is wasted? My time. Why is everything not working?
No.
I just coded something that should be a fix. Okay, so Max, whatever I code, it does not actually change the code.
I think we should just...
I've coded the same thing thrice now and it has not had any effect.
I think we have too many issues with this, so if we're gonna continue streaming today, I think we should...
Yeah, I think it's probably best just to end the stream now.
I know, we could still stand, talk about something.
I mean, it's already 11. That's the time that we usually end streams. It just doesn't feel like we should end it now because we haven't done as much. But this seems like the right moment. We could be talking about something, yes, but we've been streaming for about, what is it? 2 hours already? And then all of the issues...
I'm gonna let this bite you in the ass by saying, how about we ask our viewers? Because that's what you always say.
Go ahead, but I don't think they'll answer because, like me, they have lost all care.
Would you like us to, we'll just be talking, but would you like us to continue streaming for a little bit? It will be like at most half an hour, but probably shorter. Or would you like us to just rip the bandage off?
Yes, this stream is a bandage.
Yep.
It's actually bleeding, but it's trying to cover it up. That metaphor works way too well. I mean, we're not trying to cover it up. We're very open about us being failures and about this stream
Which
being
means
a
we're a
failure.
very terrible band-aid.
Yes. No, I think that means that the analogy doesn't hold up. Okay, you know what? Let's just do some talking then. Why not?
Yeah. Speaking of like analogies that don't hold up, when someone tries to get across a point by making an analogy, where in the thing that it's making an analogy about, those particular qualities, it does hold up, and then someone is trying to argue against it by showing where the analogy doesn't hold up, when those are not the logical comparisons. Because of course you can't like perfectly compare all things.
But like, when you use an analogy, you typically only want to compare one thing, and you can do that perfectly.
And when you like, oh, but the quality of this does this also do that, and like, no, but that doesn't disprove the thing. When you're using analogies to prove things. You need a band-aid for Uranus. Lovely.
Okay, so let me ask a question to you. What is the way? What is the best way to determine what people believe, according to you? What do you think?
You mean like not what the to actually determine what they believe?
To actually determine what they believe.
Easiest
Yes.
or best?
The best, and that may be, that may be best because it's easy, or maybe best because it's accurate. That depends on your values.
Yeah.
And I think you'd best wait a second. I think you'd best start off by making the distinction between emotional belief and like rational belief that you made before when talking to me.
Yeah.
So because what I am most interested in this case is the emotional belief.
Shall I make the distinction? Like,
yes.
Define them. So, an emotional belief. So Pixel here uses the word know and to believe. Whereas I call them both beliefs, but they are rational beliefs and emotional beliefs. So emotional beliefs are things that are true to you because you feel they're true. It's just something like you can be expected to act upon it. Usually, it's possible to act against this, of course, but it is. But that might be difficult to act against what you believe is true. And then there are rational beliefs where you actually have the knowledge. You can acknowledge that the logic holds up for this certain fact. That by reasoning in some way, you come to the conclusion that this is the way, but you could still hold the different emotional beliefs. Like, even if it makes sense to you, you still don't believe it. And that's why Pixel use these different words, because like you believe something else, but you know by reason. So those are two different ones. Emotional belief.
Yes, that is an accurate description of my position. I believe that, and I know also, or at least I think, let's put it that way, that people may claim to know things. For example, think of someone who was recently Catholic and then converted to atheism, right? They'll have reasoned their way out of the existence of hell. But when someone mentions it to them in a threatening way, or when they think about, the consequences of moral actions, the feeling that hell raises in them still comes up, and it still influences the way they act and express themselves. So even though they have, a rational, conscious belief in the non-existence of hell, even though they think they know that hell does not exist, and I say think they know because of course it's not provable, their actual belief, what expresses in their actions most, maybe, that there is a hell and that they are afraid of it.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Why did we bring this up?
Well, because I asked you, what is the best way to determine what someone believes?
Right, and when you say belief, what sort of belief do you mean?
Well, what you would classify as, like, if you talk about conscious belief, the best way to determine it is to just ask them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But
when it comes
the
to
emotional belief, as you would call it, is you.
Yeah, I mean, so if we can, we use our voices to communicate things, because that's how we've evolved to transfer information from one brain to the other. You could skip this interface and just have a way of just, if you have all the information about everything in the brain and know how it thinks, never actually thought of it.
That's not my question. My question is not if you had all of the knowledge on the planet, then what would you do to determine this? The question is, you as a person now, meeting a person now, talking to them, getting to know them.
Oh, but you said however, I thought you meant however difficult it might be.
Yeah, okay, it should still be within the realm of possibility. Imagine that you made a psychological research facility.
Yeah.
To the beliefs of this one person. What sort of thing would you instate? Okay, well,
I wouldn't state that the money go elsewhere.
Let's project it in this way. Let's assume, when I say person, I don't mean the biological creature that is a human.
Yeah, I know.
I mean the thinking,
individual.
feeling, abstract entity. You can ask questions, you can interact with them in physical ways, but you can't see their inner workings as you could a computer, for example. That is the sort of person that I'm referring to here. So the psychoanalytic person.
But you can actually know what the abstract person is by looking at the things that run it.
That is true. But I'm asking this from a from a psychoanalysis perspective, where you don't go digging around in people's brains physically. Like, for example, someone may
it's
say,
very distracting.
Someone may say, I know spiders are not dangerous.
What?
And that's why I'm not afraid of them.
Repeat.
Someone may say, I know spiders aren't dangerous, and I also don't believe they are dangerous. I'm not afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
If you show a spider to them, and they react in a scared way, then you know that they may know that the spider is not dangerous, but their actual belief is probably not that spiders are not dangerous, or at least not that they are not scary because of such things.
Yeah. So, now what do you mean by psychometric?
Psychoanalytic, I said.
Psychoanalytic, I mean.
Like,
Actually, could you wait for a second? I need to tell them to be quiet. I can't focus. Okay, I'm back. So, psychoanalytic.
So you know, like the methods of psychoanalysis, right?
No.
Sigmund Freud, ever heard of the guy?
Okay, you just mean like talking to a person and help them find out.
Well, not necessarily helping them find out. You are trying to find out, but through talking to the person, showing the person things, going on walks with them, even if that's a method. Just the contact that you have with them is not physical. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It's
yeah.
Only
you may give,
and you see the outputs of the system.
Yeah. You only see the outputs, and you can make things happen to the subject. Whether that be just saying things to them or putting them in situations. How do you find out what they truly believe? I think it depends on the belief. I mean, who you're looking for. Do you want to see if someone truly is scared of spiders? Show them a spider.
Okay, so let's generalize the question.
Yeah.
What is the criterion for actual belief? In the case of the spider, it's behavior, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do they behave around spiders?
Give me
is that always the criterion? Are there more criteria? I mean,
yeah. Like, if you want to test what someone believes, you wanna see, like, if a certain belief that you're testing, which it would by like it would depending on whether they believe it or not, they would act differently in relation to that thing. And so you would just expose them in some way, in the right way, to that and observe. Now you'd have to ask. You have to do psychoanalysis to see, like, do they lie about these things? Do they try to, because you can internalize such behavior. You can be scared shitless and seem like you remain completely calm.
Yeah, but that's my question. If you are scared shitless, but you don't express it,
How do you know?
Is that really indicative?
You can only know by scanning the brain and see that they're scared shitless.
Oh, well, like that is kind of, in general interaction with people, you don't think about interactions with the brain, but you do think like about electrical impulses in the brain, but you do think about their beliefs and about their nose and such, their disposition. So I just wonder if someone does not react in a scared way to a spider, are they really scared of the spider? Like, they may be thinking, "Oh, I don't like this spider," but if it doesn't translate to action.
When you have a certain belief, so a belief, like if you boil down everything to when it comes to what you want and such, it's pleasure. So when you're scared of something, you want the pleasure of avoiding that thing. And so if you don't act scared in any situation where you're exposed to a spider, doesn't necessarily mean you aren't scared of the spider. That could mean that there's another thing that is causing you to act out of accordance with that. Something that's more powerful. So
you would have to think about things that are of own volition.
I mean, for example, this I don't think this is perfectly possible. But imagine, because you have rational beliefs. I mean, we're imagining right now. We have rational beliefs and emotional beliefs. Imagine someone who has the emotional belief that they must act in accordance with our rational beliefs. And that is infinitely strong. Like, then you would never
that's
see...
indeed not possible.
No. But then you would never see what their other emotional beliefs are. But it doesn't need to be infinite to be able to cover up your emotional beliefs. So I don't think you can simply by interaction for certain determine someone's emotional beliefs. Even for how long you observe them. Unless you were to manage to change them. Because you can see the change.
Right, yeah, so you think that... Okay, so even if someone's behavior is not expressed... someone's belief is not expressed in their behavior, you would expect to see a change in behavior when the belief is changed? No matter what the belief is? Is that what I'm hearing? I mean, that may well be true.
I mean...
Because, I would argue that you are right. And the simple reason that I would argue that you are right is I don't think that, if someone's belief doesn't seem to come to an... if someone's belief doesn't seem to change someone's expression, but the lack of that belief does not yield anything different, then there is no difference to the people around this person, no matter the belief. And I personally hold the belief that your identity and what you are is not dictated by what you think you are or what you want to be, but rather by what other people say you are. Like, for example, if you have an apple, I would argue that the apple is an apple as soon as if you show it to everyone, and they all say, "Oh yeah, that's an apple," when they see it or when you ask them about what it is, then it is an apple. But when you take an apple and you make it look so handicapped and ridiculous that nobody recognizes it as an apple, I would argue that it's different enough that it's no longer an apple. And so I would say that if a lack of belief and a belief yields no difference to the entities around an entity, they don't actually hold the belief, or not hold the belief. Are you kind of getting what I'm getting at here?
Sorta, but I don't know how you... It's the end bit where you said they're not holding belief, but they're also not holding the belief.
Yeah, that's.
I sort of understand what you're getting to.
Yeah.
It's that if there is no change regarding behavior, then a certain belief hasn't changed.
No. Then then I would say, like, if you have an entity and you imagine that this entity has an array of beliefs, and it currently holds one of those beliefs in a certain state, and it's going throughout its day, and you observe it. Now, you change that belief so that this entity does not believe in it.
Then it should behave differently.
Yes, but if it does not behave differently,
and if
it feels differently. So look at, for example, let's take the spider as an example.
Objectively behave differently.
Someone may know that spiders are not scary, and someone may also feel that spiders are not scary. Someone may also know that spiders are scary, and know that they are not scary, but feel that they are. But if that feeling is not expressed in any different behavior ever, then I would argue that the scariness or non-scariness of a spider is simply not a part of the array of beliefs of this person. It's not an anti-belief or a belief. It's just not there. Because, like I said, I think all
things are a part of it. All certain beliefs that you can come up with, because when we say beliefs, they're emotional beliefs.
Yes.
And when put in a certain situation where you react in a certain way, because of emotional beliefs, then
you just proposed a situation where no matter the emotional belief, their reaction is not different. No. Because they are going to be acting in accordance with their rational belief. With their nose.
Yes, but that's not possible.
And what I'm arguing,
I'm not.
Sure, it's not possible.
That's not what
it's a theoretical situation. What I'm arguing is that if there is no change from one emotional belief to another in behavior or in expression, if someone looks at a person or talks to someone and they don't see the change, then I would argue that belief was not there in the first place. There was not an active belief in the scariness of spiders. There was an active belief in the non-scariness of spiders. If the scariness of spiders or non-scariness of spiders does not yield a change, then, I think I would argue that nothing has changed at all, that there was just a non-belief in the first place.
But the thing is, if I'm saying that emotional beliefs always exist, it is how you would react, but just it is your it's just how you react to things, and that's based on, like, you can know what your emotional beliefs, but you don't necessarily need to know.
Why did you propose the situation before of this guy?
Oh no, that was just, like, I don't understand why you're still on that. That was just an extreme, and I said if that were the case, then you couldn't. Like, that's where it ended. I just said if you act perfectly according with rational beliefs, you can't determine that person's emotional beliefs.
Yeah.
That's all I said about that. That ended like there.
Yeah, okay, but you wouldn't be able to determine it because it doesn't yield a change in behavior. Right? So, if that is the case, then, it's probable and probably right that what you think, is that to determine someone's emotional beliefs, you have to look at their behavior.
When you say change in behavior, do you just mean outward, when you as a normal human being are looking at the thing and seeing how they behave?
Or not a human being, like a thing.
But when I say behavior, I just mean their entire physicality.
That includes their internal state.
Yeah, because if they would hold a different belief, there would be a different behavior in their brain, in whatever thing that is.
Right, but I don't think it means anything to have a different behavior in your brain if it's not expressed externally.
What do you mean by? What do you mean by it doesn't mean anything?
If I come to the cause of action of picking up my cup, I could take many different parts of thinking that would lead me to pick up this cup. But I don't care.
But what do you mean it doesn't? It doesn't. What do you mean it doesn't mean anything? Like it has no impact on society? Sure, I can agree with that. If the thing externally
it has no impact on anything. That's why it doesn't mean anything.
Well, it has an effect on the person's experience with the world.
No, well, yeah, it is the effect because it is the experience.
Yeah, so it does.
But it doesn't imply anything. Like this person is not behaving any differently. It's not speaking any differently.
No, but for the person,
this is what I was saying before.
They might be, I think, in great pain in the head, but behaving normally.
This is where I think this is where I disagree. I think the meaning, the what something is basically, is not decided by its own experience of what it is, but instead by the experience of others of what it is. I gave the example of the apple before, and so since nobody else experiences this person differently due to the different beliefs, I would argue that the person hasn't changed due to their different beliefs, and therefore I would argue that the belief is a non-belief, that it does not exist, that it doesn't mean anything.
When you say, what do you mean by non-belief? That it hasn't made up its mind regarding it? Like it has. When I don't mean made up your mind as something that takes time. I mean like it hasn't thought about it and chosen anything.
It may have chosen like.
But what I don't understand is things don't hold beliefs only hold beliefs in relation to other things that are observing that thing. Probably shouldn't be saying thing if they were talking about beliefs. Individuals, people don't hold beliefs if those beliefs, in air quotes, don't have any effect and change in behavior. I don't see where you're getting that from. Because that is not what a belief is.
But this is our definition of behavior is different, I suppose. When I say behavior, I think external characteristics, measurable things from the outside, from a psychoanalytic perspective.
Well, behavior.
You think that behavior includes the thinking of this entity.
Yeah.
And I say, no, I don't think so.
Because it's the behavior of the particles that make it up, the behavior of the system.
Yeah, no. So that is what I was saying. That is where we disagree.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that if it were to normally change its behavior, external, as you say, if a change in belief does change its behavior, but if it's not if the other party doesn't notice it, then that also makes it not a non-belief?
Right. If the other party can't notice it.
But the thing is, we can notice it.
No.
We can look at their brain and
but that is not the discussion. Like before we started, I explicitly limited the discussion to the methods of psychoanalysis. That is where we are looking at. Like from different frames of references, the meaning of things changes. Like if you are looking from far away at a low resolution at something, it will seem different than when you are up close. And the resolution that we are looking at is basically the resolution of this psychoanalytic perspective. So where you cannot dig in people's brains, you have to look at their outputs at the level of the individual. And if they don't change, then I would say that in this context, the belief did not exist.
Well, from the person's view, it does exist. So
yes,
then it's subjective.
From the person's view, it does exist. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't hold the belief that the experience of an object or thing or entity of its own meaning dictates its meaning. And I gave the example of the apple before. I would say that if you have an apple, grew on an apple tree, whatever, follows all of the definitions of an apple, and you show it to people and you ask, what is this? And they say, oh, it's an apple. I would argue it's an apple. But as soon as you have an apple that's so weirdly contorted on the tree that when you show it to people, they don't recognize it as an apple, I would argue that it is not an apple.
Well, how many?
Because it cannot be distinguished as an apple. Hence, I don't think it is an apple. It may have developed in the same way as an apple. The thing may serve the same purpose as an apple.
So you mean that not even if it's contorted or whatever, or distorted, even if it looks the exact same and people don't recognize it as an apple, it isn't an apple.
Yes, if it looks the exact same, and
but
it is not possible.
I don't think that has to do with. I think that has to do with the definitions of words, that we say this is an app, because I do believe that words in our language are made to refer to things, and
yes, but I would not.
It isn't an apple because we don't say it's an apple, because that's not what an apple is.
Yes, but from the perspective of this thing that grew on the tree, it would be an apple, because all it ever saw was basically, its purpose to fall on the ground, grow seeds, whatever. That is the experience that every other apple would be having.
No, okay, so now I don't agree.
So the meaning of this thing, what it is not dependent on its own experience of itself. So now if we extend that to the individual, this individual's thinking, it sees its thoughts, it realizes, I'm having this belief, but I would argue that its own experience does not matter to what the truth is. The things around it don't see the beliefs, and they don't see the expression of it. They have no way of distinguishing between the anti-belief and the pro-belief. So there is no belief there.
I don't think, because your comparison here was that the apple from itself would see itself as that. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't see itself as an apple. It doesn't think. It doesn't hold any belief.
You can still imagine a perspective. That's not true. How do you know that it doesn't believe?
Because if
this is nitpicking the analogy. Just imagine that the apple does.
Then why are you using the apple as an analogy? I think because if you can't refer to an object's point of view if it doesn't have.
Well, I think you're just wrong. I don't know why you're assuming that it doesn't have a point of view. Every object has a point of view.
In this conversation, we're all knowing. We predicate the assumptions and the scenarios. So,
wait a second, Max. Are you currently is the stream on your computer?
No. It's streaming. It's just streaming the.
No, but are you watching it? Is it open in your browser, the Twitch page?
I can see the chat if that's what you mean. I've closed it in the web browser.
Okay, so then we only have 2 viewers. I am one of them.
Okay.
Right.
Then what is what?
The apple. What is the question?
What is the apple? I mean, apple is just a name. It's still the same as it is. It's no different.
So this is where we disagree, I suppose. I would argue that not everything is a thing.
You can't go from a psychoanalytical point of view from an apple because it doesn't have a psyche.
This is just the sort of assumption that does not matter to the analogy.
Yes, it does.
No. And also
because if you don't allow the basis of reality, not reality, but physical elements,
okay.
So
well,
particles.
Then the analogy. Imagine that the apple has a psyche. It doesn't need to have a psyche; it just needs to have a point of view. But whatever. Imagine that it has a psyche.
Do you mean the atoms, their reactions to things? Because we can generalize it to that, because then I can understand. Because everything in the universe technically has a point of view as of
yes, everything in the universe technically has.
And you mean it in that way? Yeah. Okay.
And from its point of view, it's just an apple.
Well, it's no, because
you said
you said that if people call it an apple, it is an apple.
I want to say something now. I don't want to look at it from the perspective of the individual atoms and whatnot. I'm talking about this philosophically. I regard the apple as an entity. and I regard its point of view, that is the collective quote-unquote knowledge of its past experience, of what it is made to be, all of that sort of thing. So it's much higher up. I'm not thinking about this on the level of physics.
So say an apple has knowledge of its past. Do you mean knowledge?
And it has an idea of where it's going. Now,
how would you mean it has that? Because that would mean that every individual also has knowledge of everything that has happened to it, which is not true. We don't know exactly everything that has happened to us in the past.
No, but so that's the that's the distinction between someone's psyche and, in this case, what I'm calling it the point of view.
So are you saying that in this scenario, if I were in this scenario, I would have a point of view where I had knowledge of my entire past?
Imagine that.
Do you mean as an object that doesn't have any, you're not saying it's a mind, it's just a thing. People are things.
Yes, that is.
Then so the knowledge would be basically, it can only have ended up in this position because of previous events. That's the knowledge that is sort of stored.
I suppose you could look at it in that way. And so what I'm saying in this case, when I'm referring to the point of view, is not what it sees on the outside. It's what it sees of itself. What view it has. Now, we are making this too difficult. You're sticking on this whole. The apple doesn't have a psyche. It doesn't matter. Just imagine for a second.
Okay, so let me go back to
imagine for a second
why I thought it was important. So.
Yes.
Because you're allowing the peoples, which we now consider just the things, as just as an apple. When you say if everyone considers it an apple, that means it considers it by that word an apple, or that they even believe that it is the thing that it's purport to be.
Yes, but when I was making this analogy, I was already I was personifying the apple. I was just taking an apple as an example because you can hold it in your hand and you can show it to people. I could reasonably imagine this apple. It's been growing on a tree. If we imagine that it has a psyche, what would it think? Well, it would be thinking, I'm an apple because I grew on the apple tree. What am I going to do with my life? Well, I'm going to fall to the ground and I'm going to disperse seeds. Now, it doesn't see what it looks like. It just only has an idea of its own internal state, and that is its goal, where it came from. Okay. That is the apple as I imagine it. Now, to itself, it looks at itself in the same way that every other apple looks at itself. So from its point of view, it is an apple. But, you just agreed with me that if you show it to everyone and they cannot possibly distinguish it as being an apple, then it is not an apple.
Yeah.
Now, I'm doing the same to people in this case. The psyche of this person, it involves the beliefs. It involves, I'm scared of spiders, I'm not scared of spiders, whatever. But if it's not expressed in any sort of action or words, then the people around it cannot possibly distinguish this belief. And thus I would say that it has no meaning. It is not a belief in the same way that the apple is not an apple. Because what something is, the meaning of a thing, is not determined by the people around it. I mean, it is determined by the people around it. It's just not determined by itself.
But if it does have an observable difference for some individuals but not others.
Yeah, so no, the question is not about, if people notice it. The question is, can they notice it?
Yeah, but let's say certain observers can't observe that.
Uh-huh.
It is outside of their resolution.
Yes.
Then there's the fact that it's both. They both.
Yes, so
it's subjective. And you say they don't hold the belief, but I would say, in relation from the perspective of this specific observer, this other individual does not hold the belief.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing. We are looking at this as one of those people. We are looking at it from a certain resolution. In this case, the psychoanalytic resolution. So I'm arguing that from this resolution.
Are you saying that this is a perfect
no external change in behavior, then they are not holding the belief from our point of view.
But what is the psychoanalytic resolution? Perfect.
Yeah, once again, like the whole thing where the only thing that you can do to look at things is you give it inputs, you say things to it, you punch it in the face maybe, and you look at what it outputs, but you cannot pry it open and actually look at its inner workings. That's the resolution here. Now, obviously, if you could, which from this perspective you can't, then you could be looking in the brain and you could be seeing, oh, well, they have a certain idea that would have to be reflected physically in the atoms in the brain. So then you could make that distinction, and everyone else could make that distinction at that level of analysis. And thus, they would hold the belief at that level of analysis.
I think we can make this sort of work for the both of us, is because my mind is going like, yeah, but then there is a higher resolution. You could look at the brain. It is there. So let's imagine souls exist, because I think that works with this, that the thinking is happening outside of this world. We cannot interact with it.
Yes. Let's look at it in that way.
Yeah.
A dualistic perspective.
Yeah. But I would still... Like, if all other observers consider you a thinking being, a rock. And by that, I just yes, you could say just the object, but like, you are an inanimate object, which you're not.
So you have no soul, you would say, in this situation?
No, I'm asking, are you a rock, then? Because people consider you that?
Wait, people consider me a rock? And then your question is, am I a rock or not?
Yeah.
Then I am a rock. If people cannot distinguish me from a rock, then I must be a rock.
Oh, that brings me back to the, there is no difference between a simulation and the real thing, a perfect simulation and the real thing.
Uh-huh. Yes, that is something that we agreed on. So I feel like we also should kind of be agreeing on this.
Yeah, I mean from that point of view, yes,
that idea
you are a rock.
Taken to its logical conclusion. Yes. Like from my own point of view, maybe not, but my own point of view once again is irrelevant because I am the only one who is experiencing my own point of view. The point of view that these people are having is just a certain level of analysis, which is something that everything can experience, and therefore it has more meaning.
I see what we're doing here. Okay. So either we look at an object from one point of view, or we'll look at an object, which is the way we're doing it, sort of, from an infinite amount of point of views that isn't that one.
Yes.
Which, yes, does make more sense to do, because that's what it is to more things.
Mm-hmm.
I am... this is going to sound deep. I am more things to the universe than I am to myself.
There is something about it, though.
Isn't it?
I don't want to call it a negative or a positive thing, but this belief that I hold and that I've kind of described, even though I kind of went on the tangent with the apple, that is not relevant and also kind of contradictory, I suppose. Whatever. That was me thinking about things not in my own way. Anyway, so this thing that I've just said, which is the idea that a perfect simulation is not distinguishable from the real thing and therefore the same thing taken to its logical conclusion when it comes to, holding beliefs, has implications for example, the modern transgenderism movement. Because I believe that someone is a man when, to the vast majority of the infinite points of views, it is seen as one, and a woman in the same way. And then, once again, their own point of view doesn't matter. So the claim that you can just say, well, I feel like I am a moose or a woman or a toothbrush, therefore I am a moose or a woman or a toothbrush, is a claim that I cannot find.
That's a funny twist on I think, therefore I am. I think I am a toaster, therefore I am.
Yes.
which you all know you are. Yeah, but then from that, because there are infinite points of views, or maybe that's finite, but there's at least a great deal.
Yes, but none of those infinite points of views that is something that has to be recognized, is the same as the personal point of view of the thing. And the personal point of the view of the thing, at this level of analysis at least, that is the only thing that can look at the soul, as we just separated from the body. Nothing else can look at it.
This actually comes from it comes for questions about physics. If does it matter if there is some if the physics are actually different than what we can observe even? No, for what we measure, that is the thing.
Yeah.
So, but then you could say that not continuing from what I just said, but from before, that if there are infinite points of views, every little thing in the universe and existence, then actually people, this tiny bit of the universe as it is, they are actually observed to be of no gender.
Well, here I would say that we have to look at conscious agents. And now the thing is, what is a conscious agent? What is not? I just literally ascribed personality to an apple. I would say that as far as, like, when you are determining what is the case and what is not the case, you should be looking at, how do I see it? How do other conscious agents see it? Remove the singular point of view of
if I'm not mistaken, you agree with the belief that if I'm not mistaken, you agree with me that there are different levels, and many levels are like you can ignore the feelings of those. All things are conscious on some level, whether they be a rock, a squirrel, or a human.
Yeah, that is something that we talked about before, is it not?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if
we even went all atomic. We said something like if external inputs cause external outputs but modify the internal state as a function of the internal state, we said then it is conscious. And then how conscious it is was basically the complexity of that change in terms of the current internal state. Well, I would say that when it comes to meaning, and this is just completely arbitrary, there is no way to prove any of this or like logically reason to it, I suppose. But I would say that
the consciousness of the thing you're gonna say.
No, not the consciousness thing. We're back to meaning. Okay. What is a thing? What is not a thing?
What is a toaster?
What is a toaster? So I would say that I am a human. The consciousnesses that are most like mine probably are those of other humans. The only thing currently that I can assume as having consciousness that is equivalent to my consciousness is that of other humans, and that is the thing that's not provable. Like, why? But if we are going to go all skeptic about this, then we shouldn't acknowledge even the existence of the universe. So that is an axiom, I suppose.
No, I can ascribe a similar consciousness. We do. The unit, if that's the case, then if you look at all observers in any universe, so they are things if they have behavior. And
no, but let's stop here. Like, all I was saying was
the universe proves itself.
No, all I'm saying is I can't prove that other humans have consciousness.
Right? No, I mean,
and I can't prove that I have consciousness.
I think you mean consciousness in a different way. Do you mean consciousness by this thing like the camera behind the head? Because if it's not the camera behind the head, then it is just a certain behavior. Then yes, it can be proven objectively.
Yeah, but no, I'm thinking about this in terms of the camera behind the head.
Okay.
Yes.
I actually have thoughts on this, and they have come about from reasoning about my own experience.
Uh-huh.
I think the camera behind. So first of all, the camera behind the head. Is it okay if we move to this topic? Actually, we don't switch topic that much, but I think the camera behind the head is, well, it seems weird to say it's there because it's there. Because okay, so just hear me out, because I know that
I think I already understand what you're getting at.
Okay, that.
But keep going.
So, if you have this thing that you're looking from the outside, and this system, so you can ask it, and it manages to react to its environment, so it sees things. So it would make sense that it would see things. So there is something that sees things, however that be. And that's also where the consciousness of any sort of object comes from. Now, this is a short version of it, because I know you understand it, but still bringing it up in case someone's listening. Yeah, I'm not going to go over it entirely here. So, if anyone wants me to explain completely,
there is no one. I'm the only view.
Another day, perhaps. So, where was it going with this? It was the camera behind that, right? But then so I don't know if it's completely self, like it's self-creating, like it is there because it's there, because you know there is a thing that is seeing these things, so that there should be a perspective of this, or if it's this only occurs in in certain universes where this is actually a quality that there is actually is something like a soul, if you will, but you can't even define that. So it would have to be a thing that is there because it's there, because there's a thing that is observing things. So that's sort of what the simplified way of explaining like how I've come to the conclusion. We have the camera behind our eyes because there is a camera behind our eyes.
Yeah.
The thing that is us. And
but that would mean that a rock has a camera too.
Yeah, it's just very blind.
And that is something that we agree on.
It's a very, very broken camera.
Yeah. It's a one-dimensional camera. All it can do is, see kicks and slaps and pushes and any other.
I'm just imagining Vsauce, like slapping that big metal ball from side to side.
Oh yeah. But I also kind of want to get back to the infinite viewpoint thing real quick.
Yeah, sure.
So when I was giving the example of the apple, I was saying, you show it to people and can they distinguish it or not? I do think that is what it should stick to. I don't think you should be wondering what a rock, how would a rock distinguish a person from a person, because as far as you know, the only thing that actually makes this, all right. As far as you know, the only thing that actually makes distinctions are humans. The only things.
Yeah, but so. But then,
not just as far as you know, as far as
we know. If you are thinking about, you said the majority.
No, I said like is.
If just one individual considers it, then it is, isn't it?
This is about the ability to distinguish. So this is kind of at the edge of where where I was reasoning, because in the transgender case, I think it is the majority that you should be looking at. But okay, let's put it this way. The transgender thing is a bit difficult because it's subjective. Like, you don't know if they are actually a man or a woman. There is no such thing. But in the case of belief, let's put it this way: if it is correct that the internal state of this individual has beliefs, to the individual, and no one can distinguish those from the outside, then they aren't really there, so to say. But if they can be distinguished, which would be proven by one person distinguishing them, then they would be there. So it's the combination of.
But there are people that.
It's basically the question: is it proven? Is it?
Yeah, because there are people who acknowledge them, and so.
Yes.
But like both sides could be wrong, and we don't know which side is right.
Yeah.
When you're saying, can we distinguish it?
That is true. So that is kind of what the debate centers on, and that is also
so I guess you'd have to be able to distinguish a certain thing. You'd have to define it.
It depends on what your definition of the thing is.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You have to choose a definition, make an observation, see does it fit the definition.
Yes.
And I think far too many things which are held in conversation are too undefined.
Like apples?
Yeah. I mean, back in the days, an apple was just a fruit.
It's still just a fruit.
No. I don't mean that way. I mean, like, apple means fruit. Like, apple of the orange tree, apple of the...
Yeah.
That's what
Orang apple.
So, I think when having discussions and trying to figure out if something is why, then you need to have a clear definition and then make observations, see does it fit this definition, is the definition clearly defined to...
Yeah, in the case of belief it was quite easy to do this because
you can redefine words and still say...
Because in this case there was no discussion about can it be distinguished. We just defined it in such a way that you cannot distinguish this internal thought process. But in the case of transgender people, for example, the debate is around can you distinguish, a transgender woman from a woman, I suppose. And that is what makes it sort of different. Yeah. I think this is a good place to end it.
Yeah, this was a nice conversation.
To our 0 viewers, thank you for watching.
See you all 0.
No, we must not forget to add in the words for the algorithm.
All right.
Sponsorship, branding,
Audible,
NordVPN, Mark's Toolshed,
PewDiePie,
.com, .net, domain.com, girlfriend challenge. I think that's enough.
Bottle flip. That's a pretty old one.
Yes.
Yeah. Goodbye.